afternoon and welcome to the Daily Ramble here on Claret and Booze. My name's Gary and we've got a few things to talk about today, especially looking back to Nick and Gio's video. Also, I want to mention some new content that is going to be released on the Reserves channel as well. But the big item on the agenda I want to talk today, I want to address a question. I don't know if you think you know the answer to this, but we've been accused as a channel of having an agenda. Well, what do you think? Do you think we've got an agenda? Damn right we've got an agenda. In fact, it's not really an agenda. It's a mission. It's a mission to get rid of David Moyes. To get David Moyes out of the club. Because we don't want him at the club. So it's simple, really. Honest. We're being honest about it. We're not going to hide. Might have an agenda. Of course we've got an agenda. All right, so in case you're in doubt, in any doubt whatsoever, I hope it's put that little mystery to bed for you. Make it up what you will, right? That's our opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. Don't want Moyes out? Don't have to, don't ask for it, right? But we want him out, so we're going to ask for it. It's common sense, isn't it, really? Apparently we're not West Ham supporters, not real West Ham supporters. Could you be? You're against David Moyes. Well, look, if you prioritise your own fucking personal needs in terms of oh, this is the best I've had it the last 3 years, best I've had it as a West Ham fan, that's fine, right? That is nowhere near the experience of everybody else. But if you think your experience over the last 3 years should dictate the West Ham supporting life of every other fucker out there, right? Then I'm sorry, you're a little bit deluded, a little bit selfish, right? And you could say I'm being selfish as well, right? But I'm basing mine on what I expected West Ham, what I think West Ham is over a long period of time, right? Moyes didn't invent Europe. He didn't invent, doing well in the league, right? There were a few things that came out of that little show that Gio and Nick put together, and I thought it was a really good show, by the way, really high quality, good discussion. And they're both coming from slightly different views, but they agreed on a lot. There's a lot of common ground there, especially with Gio saying, like, it ain't worth me paying 300 quid to travel up, right? Which it ain't really, is it? I mean, if I had to pay 300 quid to go and see a West Ham game, I'm pretty sure a lot of the time this season I wouldn't have done it, right? But there were a few things that came out of that show that really surprised me. And if you haven't watched it, go and watch it. Right, I'll link it at the end of this video. They went through a load of questions from each channel. They started off with a poll. Both polls were overwhelmingly giving the answer of they didn't want Moyes to renew, and the numbers were enormous. Right now, Gio was right in saying the numbers won't end up quite like that, but I think they're going to end up something like that because what's happening at the moment, even if it isn't a complete drop off, like from me not renewing my season tickets. There are a lot of people who pay a lot of money to do what Gio and other people do, to travel from all over the country to watch West Ham. You're going to think twice, aren't you? Rather than do that, you can spend your good money on something else. So I think that's the first thing. But I also think it's down to a broken club promise. The club promised us I was stunned when I read that on that show, that there was one of the promises from the club, apart from world-class team in a world-class stadium. Where's that? It was also, they promised entertainment because we needed it after a hard week at work, and excitement. These are things they said we would have. And for the likes of me anyway, yeah, you get a few moments in a game, but it's largely you're going to watch the opposition team knock the ball around. That ain't fun to me. I go to watch West Ham play. I don't go to watch the opposition play, right? Never have done. It's like I'm completely biased towards West Ham. I'm barely watching the other football, right? That's just me, right? So, and I think over the years I've probably been spoiled. I have been spoiled with all of the, the great players I grew up with and things like that. And I know that a lot of people who have got these opinions of you're not a proper fan, they're like youngsters, right? Because I don't think anybody my age would say that. I've got to be honest. Someone my age might have that same view that they love Moyes and they put up with anything for points. And that's fine, but they're not going to just call you're not a supporter, right? Who are you to judge? Is there a single West Ham fan out there watching this now who thinks they're judge and jury of what makes a proper supporter? Because if you think you've got that ability and that right to categorise other fans, you know, and say you're a supporter, you're not a supporter, you're a supporter. Well, you know, for a start, you know, makes you a bit of a narcissist, doesn't it? But secondly, well, you're wrong, because it's all subjective. We've all got our own opinions. We'll make our own mind up. You're allowed to do that, right? Still, I think you are. So, poor hateful comments in the video if you want. Don't care. You know, that was one of the incredible things. And there was another thing that Nick came out with as well, which I've heard him say before, but it came across as, I think, quite profound, because, you know, it hits the nail on the head. And that is, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And that's a fact for me, you know, because, yeah, I like finishing 6th in the league, 7th in the, who doesn't, right? But would I be happier if I'd watched a season of dross and finished 7th, say? I don't know, maybe scraped into a European place or something like that. Or would I be happier if I've watched a West Ham team battling week in, week out, trying to play good football, entertaining the crowd? I can't wait to go to games. You know, after a season of that and we finished like 9th, what would I choose out of those two scenarios? I mean, I'm choosing 9th. I'm sorry. I'm choosing 9th and the good football, right? But the fact is, it is not mutually exclusive. You know, what someone said on a show on another channel the other day, it made my brain itch, you know. It was like where we got stuffed by Man United. We attacked too much. We need to defend more. So we should have sat back and invited Man United on even more. But again, that's just your opinion. You're happy to watch that miserable brand of football. You don't really like football very much, do you? And he actually went on to say that defensive brand of football guarantees success pretty much. And if you want to play attacking, passing football, it's doomed to failure. Tell that to Man City, tell that to Arsenal, tell that to Brighton, tell that to all the other teams, Villa, Newcastle, all the other teams that play, Tottenham, all the other teams that play good attacking football. Why are we excluded from playing good attacking football? Just because you've had a taste of this so-called Moyes success? Well, I don't really class it as success. I class it as a kind of half success, to be honest. The cup win was fantastic, right? That aside, the last 2 years now in the league, apart from the odd high point, you know, great win against Spurs. We hardly deserved it, let's be honest, right? But the result, great, right? Unfortunately, when you run a channel, you have to watch the whole game and comment on it and be honest. You don't just focus on the end bit and say, oh, brilliant, Moyes masterclass, or you're a bit of a tit, yeah? Because that ain't really watching the game and reflecting on what actually happened. You're just, you know, you're playing to the crowd, really, aren't you? A very small crowd. So, going on, there's a couple of things that really annoy me, and I'm going to touch on them. The reason I'm making some videos today for the other channel is I picked up on a few things this week, and it's really quite annoyed me. Number one, David Moyes repeatedly seems to talk about what he has done in Europe as if it's something unique for West Ham, right? There's no way West Ham should be expecting anything like a win in Europe. Why the fuck not? We've done it before. We've nearly done it a few times before. We've been to finals as well. Why shouldn't we, as West Ham, with a decent European pedigree, why should we be surprised by winning the third-tier European trophy? That is not a mind-blowing achievement. It's a great achievement, but it didn't blow my mind. It blew my mind on the night. I loved it, right? 43 years, long time to wait. But get it into context. Did it really blow your mind as an achievement that we won the Conference League, the tournament we were favourites to win and had by far the most expensive, strongest squad in the whole tournament? Did that really blow your mind? Okay, if it did, that's fine, right? Didn't blow my mind. So my first video on the other channel is going to be about Europe before Moyes, and this is an edited video. It's 7 minutes long, right? It's up now. Go and have a look at it. it goes on about, you know, the times that we had before Moyes. It speaks for itself, really, doesn't it? All the way from 1964, 1965, all the way up to Metz in 1999, which I think was one of our best European performances ever. And it's got footage on it because that's why it's on the other channel, right? Probably get a strike straight away, but there you go. It's 7 minutes long. Go and watch it. I think you'll enjoy it. Look, even if you're someone who doesn't like me or like my views, don't put down our history. Don't dismiss our history, because that is the club you support. And the club you support is all built on that history. Without that history, the club is nothing. Right? So you know, you imagine if the only cup we'd ever won was the European Conference League. We'd be of a slightly different status, don't you think? We'd be of like a Crystal Palace status. So go and have a look at it. If you don't know about it, it's 7 minutes of, if you don't know about those games, those big games, it's not your fault. Watch it. It's all, I've gone to the effort of putting bloody titles and everything in it, and everything. It took me ages. But go and have a watch of it, and you might come out with something. You know, over half of those good times in that video, I remember. I was there, right? I only missed out by a few years on the early ones, right? Because I'm old. Right, anyway, so, and it took me on to, and it's a video that I'm gonna create as well, and I want to talk about this on here, in summary, because there's been 2 videos that have come out this week. Number one, there's been a massive drive by the club for some reason to try and show Moyes in a good light after these polls backfired on David Sullivan. Now, what they're clearly doing in my mind at the moment, and this is where I agree with Gio, I think they're just waiting the right time to announce that Moyes has got a new deal, he'll sign it, blah, blah, blah. Right. By the way, if that happens, our next step is going to be to target Sullivan as well as Moyes. We ain't giving up. God, no, we're not giving up. We might lick our wounds for a couple of days, but we ain't giving up. Gio said that he kind of deserves a contract, and I think, you know, and I think the only way I can explain that is this, right? If you buy a dog, you expect it to bark, right? If you hire David Moyes, you expect him to play boring football. David Moyes has played boring football and done exactly what David Moyes says on the tin. So if you look at it through the way Gio was looking at it, has he done his job? Does he deserve a new contract? From that angle, you can say yes, right? Absolutely. But the selection of him and Allardyce and several other managers under Sullivan wouldn't have really been the selection of many of us, you know, and the reason they got rid of him in the first place was brand football. He doesn't work. He doesn't work with us, right? We had that great moment. He should have gone after that. But he doesn't work for a number of reasons. This is arrogance, right? He's such a self-publicist. His self-promotion never stops. He's always switched on in those videos, always looking for a little opportunity to drop a little nugget of something he's done. It gets under my skin, as you might tell. The youth team. He did a Q&A. This was one of their promotions earlier in the week, and that's another thing I'm going to talk about on the other video. He did a club Q&A. A fan Q&A, it was called. Now, those questions in that video, there isn't a single fan who's interested in David Moyes' answer to any of those questions. Now, whether that fan was a West Ham supporter in the marketing department or something, or the PR department, I don't know. But they're totally uninterested in insipid questions with insipid answers, like he doesn't like fucking liquor on his pie. Who cares? He comes from Glasgow. So does his dad. So does his brother. Well, we knew that, right? Why is someone even asking that question? Because they were trying to show him as a human. But later on in the video in that Q&A, he shows he's not a human when he talks about the kids, the under-21s. And he said, he starts off with a little boast, like, I gave 5 16-year-olds their debut. Well, yeah, reluctantly, mate. And some of them, I think if you're talking about the Zagreb game with us, you never played them again. So it was a debut just to tick off a box so that you could bring it up later like you just did, because I think it probably was, right? That's what he does. Get knocked out of a quarterfinal because you thrown the game. The way you tell that story is, I got us to a quarterfinal. Yeah? That's the way it does. It's spin. And he's very good at it. I've got to say, I admire the way he self-promotes. Wish I could do it. He gaslights. He lies. You know, he plays down West Ham as a club all the time in terms of suggesting we're flaky. And what more could a West Ham fan expect? And all the people in the media do the same thing. What more can you expect, you ungrateful bastards? What more can you expect from West Ham? This is only West Ham after all, right? Little old West Ham. That thing about Danny Murphy the other week, he was on TalkSport, and someone phoned in and asked him, well, look, if David Moyes, do you think David Moyes, would he be good enough for Tottenham? No. Why not? Well, because they've got better players. The best. No, they ain't. Well, I suppose if you mention Paqueta and everything else, yeah, I suppose you've got a point. Anyway, it went nowhere. These people they align David Moyes. They put him in we're a certain tier, probably the third tier down in their mind. This goes for Carragher, this goes for Shearer, this goes for all the pundits, right? And we're at that level. We should know our level. David Moyes belongs at that level. He doesn't belong in the Man United level or Chelsea, even when they're shit. He doesn't belong at that level, right? We've got to put up and make do. Well, fuck that. We're not doing it, right? Where was I anyway? I am rambling today. This is a proper ramble, right? By the way, if you're enjoying this proper ramble, please give the video a like, hit the bell notification icon, and subscribe to our channel. We're past 10k at long bloody last. I don't know. Don't want to set a target of 20k, but that's probably, judging by experience, that's probably about 2 years away. Right. Anyway. He more or less alludes to the fact that he suggests, in a sort of passive aggressive way, that because West Ham can't expect anything, to get a European trophy is amazing, right? It ain't, Dave. It ain't. It didn't blow my mind, right? It was one of the best nights of my life, but the winning of that trophy as an achievement did not blow my mind. Very repetitive, aren't I? It's self-promotion. When I... there's one thing I heard as well, which I found quite funny, and I'm not going to give the details of it. Don't worry, Nick, I'm not going to give the details. But we know for a fact a lot of the ex-players who are in the media, the ones who do, co-commentary, and they're interviewed by, they talk on the TV and they back Moyes up and everything else, behind the scenes, they're slagging him off. And, one particular example from a very sort of tame individual who I really like, actually, and I've met a few times, he's a lovely bloke, called him a useless C-word. You wouldn't hear him say anything derogatory about him on screen. So you see what I mean? They play the media game. They're all playing the media game. Can't blame them. They've got to earn a living, right? Is what it is. So the Q&A was just a plant to kind of raise his profile a little bit. And when he said, "Oh, giving the 16-year-olds their debut," he went on to say that he had his debut at 18, and these days, kids can't really expect to make a breakthrough in the Premier League until they're 21. So that's Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Palace, all the other teams who have played 18, 17, 19-year-olds, right? We've got, a lot of them have gone out on loan now, and last night I think they lost their first game in a long time because they're obviously depleted because a lot of their key players are missing now. The under-23s lost to Chelsea. But it's a great set of lads there who achieved something absolutely amazing last year in winning the league and cup double, and that's not been done since like Joey Cole, that batch of kids, Joey Cole, Carrick, and people like that, Lampard. It's an enormous achievement for a club like ours. It's only the third or fourth time we've won it in our entire history, and every time we've won it, we've got some players through to the first team. But what he's saying is, all those kids are 18, 19 playing in the under 23s at the moment. What he's saying is, you're not getting anywhere near my first team for at least another 3 years. And he said at the beginning of the answer as well, he more or less said he don't go and watch them. He said, the players, you've got to go and watch them, and you've got to do this. And he don't do it. He doesn't go to watch them. So he's got like this team that beats everybody. They've got a better youth team last year and this year, if you take all the kids that gone out on loan. They're better than most other teams in the country. It includes the top teams, right? And the top teams are using some of that young talent in their first team, really breaking them in, getting them in. We use them as bench fillers. They're never getting on the pitch, right? Yeah, I know you might have got a little run out against Bristol City when it don't matter and stuff like that, but it ain't happening in the Premier League. I mean, Divin Mabama, yeah, what's happened to him now? And again, that ain't just about Divin and Divine, and you might take the attitude of they're not good enough, right? Well, you don't know until they've been given a chance, and by given a chance, I mean a proper chance, and nurtured into the team. So if you've got a fullback, you know, and you need fullback cover, you bring that fullback in, and you tell him, look, it don't matter. It's going to be tough. It's going to be, you know, you set the expectations. We're not looking you to absolutely blow us away out there. Just, you know, try to do your best, put in a good performance. You know, if it don't worry if you don't have a good game, we'll you know, there'll be other chances, that sort of thing, right? He doesn't do that. You know, it's basically one chance and you're out. I'll have a quick look at you. Sometimes don't have a quick look at you. Callum Marshall came off the bench against Bristol City. We expected him to be given a run out the following weekend, no, but instead he just dropped them completely, right? Because that's what he does, because he doesn't give a toss about them. And now he's more or less said, by setting the threshold at 21, none of those kids are getting in my team, right? So you need Premier League experience. We've got the oldest squad in the league, average age 28 and a half. He lets players go that he doesn't like or players that he don't buy. So Pablo scored a cracker for Real Betis last night, playing on the right wing with a little bit of freedom without having to defend the whole fucking game. Different player, but we knew that. We knew it would be, right? We knew Pablo was good. Ben Rama's come out and said the training at Mets is infinitely better than West Ham. So it sounds like he's not spending a couple of hours doing zonal marking drills over there. They're actually working on, you know, ball play, fitness, everything else. Yeah, that is the sad state of West Ham. You know, the training, the regime, and everything around it, while David Moyes is the overall Uber manager of this club, is geared towards delivering Moyes ball. And finally, in the video, the second video that I'm releasing this afternoon, so or the third video even. So the first one that's already out there is the video that goes on about European history. This is a ramble. This is the second video. The third one I'm going to release later is going to be basically a commentary, looking at what he said yesterday in the Arsenal preview, sort of with the journalists, where the Licky journalist was on duty, planting questions for him. Oh, boss, you're brilliant. You know, you've won so much already. How can you possibly expect to beat Arsenal? That sort of shit, yeah. And then I will review the Q&A. So the third video will be me talking to those videos in a kind of reaction type thing. That will be over on the other channel as well, right? So, and that should be released by the time you've finished watching this. So head over to Claret & Booze Reserves. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, the main Claret & Booze, please do so. Please do so. Give the video a like. Hit the bell notification icon. When you do that, it helps us with the algorithm. It helps other people see the video, right? So that's it. Thank you for your time. I hope you've enjoyed it. We've got Arsenal tomorrow. Nick and Mickey's going to do a preview on that, I believe. It's going to be out tomorrow morning. Until next time, until tomorrow night, see you soon. Come on, you irons.